And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick alongside Alix Steel. We're counting you down to the closing bell. You're here to help take us beyond the bell. It's a global simulcast. Everyone's back. Scarlet Fu here in the TV studio. Massar and Tim Stenovec in the radio booth as we welcome our audiences across all of our platforms. Here on a somewhat tepid end to what is still going to be a positive week for U.S. stocks.
Yeah, and I think that's a significant point, and also that it's going to be up for 3 weeks in a row here, staying above that 5,200 point. Our Abigail Doolittle saying, that's really key. If we can go into the weekend staying above that, that's kind of key in terms of the upward trend momentum. So that is something we are certainly watching here. 52.25 right now on the S&P 500.
I think it's interesting to see continued momentum to the upside right now, continuing from last week. And we really had two events last week that prompted this. It was that Fed-friendly jobs report, and then also some optimism post the Fed meeting with Jay Powell. And then come this week, some positive earnings that basically everybody's saying, okay, well, I guess everything is awesome again.
Everything is awesome, and there's some data that may show as well that the economy is not holding up maybe as well as some of the numbers have indicated. Also, let's
almost
not forget,
everything is awesome.
Right,
again.
right. Let's not forget, too, that stock buybacks are really supporting the equity market. I mean, that $110 billion repurchasing plan from Apple makes up for half of the $200 billion that Bloomberg estimates S&P 500 companies have announced so far.
Interesting. I love me the Lego movie. Everything is awesome. But also you have to wonder too, was the sell-off and sell-off is extreme, was it just about tax selling? And if we're done with that, is a path of least resistance higher?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there was an interesting call by the strategist over at JP Morgan, as well as over actually at Bloomberg Intelligence. Gina Martin Adams and her team kind of pointing out that once you get to the end of these earnings seasons, at least the large cap earnings seasons, you tend to see a bit of a pullback. It'll be interesting to see what happens over the next week here with the Dow Jones Industrial Average, at least on the day, holding on to gains, and on the week as well, we should point out. For the day, up about 0.3%, right around 39,500. The S&P at 5,222 to end the session, up about 9 points, or 0.2%. The NASDAQ is going to go lower slightly on the day, only by about 5 points, or less than 0.1%. And the Russell 2000 slightly lower here on the day by 0.7%.
All right, you mentioned earnings. Let's not forget that we've got NVIDIA, still a big one coming up May 22nd. Having said that, back to the big caps I go, including something like an NVIDIA. S&P 500, Scarlet, most names in the index higher today, 298 moving up, 199 to the downside, 6 unchanged.
And the modest gains in the Dow and the S&P 500 have translated into fairly modest moves for the 11 sector groups in the S&P 500 too. You look at the gainers and losers, pretty much evenly split. Staples, infotech, and financials are the leading gainers. And on the downside, you've got consumer discretionary, energy, and REITs.
Yeah, a fair amount of green in that pie. All right, let's get to some of the individual gainers. We've all been talking about it today. An IPO, the high electric car brand. We're talking about Zeekr, owned by Geely Holding, rising as much as 40%, just under 40% at its high today. An expanded IPO, the biggest U.S. listing by a Chinese-based company since 2021. So finishing the day, Zeekr up 34% in today's session. Novavax, really an outperformer at its highs today, guys, up almost 150%, finishing the day doubling, up 99%. Biggest one-day gain intraday in more than 15 years, forcing some short sellers betting against the stock to exit their positions at a loss. The company signed a $1.2 billion licensing agreement with Sanofi. It includes commercializing a combined COVID-19 and flu shot. I heard you, Alix, talking about it with Paul this morning. It was really interesting. The move did boost the stock that had plunged about 99% from its 2021 peak amid waning demand for its COVID vaccine. TSM, also Taiwan Semiconductor, guys, up about 4.5%. The company rallying after saw April sales jump 60% to $7.3 billion. As sustained AI demand was helped by the beginnings of a recovery in consumer electronics. That's always an important one to watch, certainly within the semi space. And Tim's like, Carol, you got to do Sweet Green. You like Sweet Green. It's up.
You love Sweet Green.
I do love Sweet Green. Up 34% in today's session. The company increasing its annual sales projection showed improved profitability as it seeks to expand its footprint. The company now anticipates same-store sales growth of as much as 6% from a prior expectation of 5% at most. So a lot of enthusiasm in that name.
People love those salads, even if they're $17.
I don't, but some people do.
Some people do. Yeah. Who has time for lunch anyway? That's what I want to know.
Ain't that the truth?
Okay, let's get to some of the decliners here. I want to start with Akamai, the worst performer on a percentage basis in the S&P 500, falling today by 11%. Akamai shares falling the most, going all the way back to 2017. It was an earnings story that's forecasted adjusted earnings per share for the second quarter missed the average analyst estimates. Analysts after earnings wrote about weakness in the company's CDN, its content delivery network business. And also want to talk about ticker DNA, Ginkgo Bioworks, down 17.3%. They shares fell the most ever today since going public back in 2021 after the company cut its revenue forecast for the full year following first quarter sales that fell short of expectations from Wall Street. We got a downgrade from William Blair after the results. Listen to this revenue figure that came in, $37.9 million. It was a 53% year-over-year decline for the company. Also fell short of the estimate of $46 million. It's probably a familiar name to a lot of people who follow Cathie Wood and ARK because her company is the second largest shareholder of Ginkgo Bioworks. And here's a new one. It's not just the EV companies that are going public today. Zeekr on the New York Stock Exchange today. There was another public debut. Oklo, it's a developer of advanced nuclear fuel systems, backed by Sam Altman. It slumped today. It's in its debut after merging with a blank check company. It's part of a wave of companies that are looking at new nuclear reactor technologies. Investors not so hot on it today. Shares falling more than 50% today.
See, not everything is awesome all the time for everyone.
Well,
okay.
I'm decliners, so I have to find the not awesome stuff every single day.
You got to get in there.
Yeah.
Not awesome if you're long treasuries. So you're seeing a little bit of a sell-off pretty much all across the curve in the treasury market. Yields up anywhere from 3 to 5 basis points, depending on where you look. But the significant part of this week, guys, was really the takedown that we saw for the 3-year, the 10-year, the 30-year. It got more awesome as you went on per duration. But I also feel like this just shows that I was mentioning this earlier. I was talking to Joanne Shu, who does the data, and she was saying that consumers are really worried about higher rates. Not lower, not the same, higher rates.
All right. So speaking of higher rates and just inflationary concerns, we saw that consumer sentiment, UMich, coming out with their numbers. U.S. consumer sentiment declining in early May to a 6-month low. Short-term inflation expectations, that was some of the concerns picking up, and also concerns about the job market. And so this story really resonates. And you think about, it's something, Romaine, I feel like we talked about at Milken, that a lot of people still feeling the inflation pinch out there. And McDonald's looking to launch a $5 meal that to really bring in some of those penny pinching consumers. I mean, for a lot of Americans, it's really kind of tough to make ends meet, no doubt about it.
Yeah, definitely. It's hard to do that. But can McDonald's actually do it, or can its franchisees do that in a place like California, where the minimum wage for fast food workers has gone up to $20 an hour? That's a big question.
Yeah, I mean, but also it's also what do you expect out of some of these companies, right? I mean, I think a lot of people look to McDonald's as a value, right? Or at least that's the perception of it. And how many times have we heard people complain about what it costs now to get a full meal at some of these fast food chains, not just McDonald's, but some of the others. So maybe it works to their advantage. I don't know. But to Scarlett's point, too, I mean, you obviously have to balance the labor costs, but we should point out, too, I mean, at least the McDonald's next door to us here at Bloomberg World headquarters, I don't think they have any labor there, right? I mean, they have people in the back cooking, but don't you order everything from one of those?
You're the labor.
From those.
You're the customer.
Do I get a discount for that?
Your
Maybe they should pay me $20.
Hey, like when you fly on an airplane these days, right?
I said to Tim, I go, man, I'm just going to start flying the plane soon because, man, I get the bags, I check myself in, I drop the bags. I mean, it's kind of getting a little crazy.
I don't want you
like
flying the plane,
person,
Carol. No
Massar.
offense.
I mean, I know you're so used to highfalutin stuff. You know, Carol took the private jet back. I had to fly coach.
I did not take the
Spirit
private
Airlines.
jet.
Yeah.
I was delayed like everybody else.
Yeah, that's how she got
getting
back
in
so
at the
fast.
wee hours.
Okay, guys, let's get to my favorite story of the day. This has no relationship to McDonald's. It is
a great story.
That amazing Apple iPad commercial. I don't know if you guys saw it.
Oh, yeah.
We were debating it in the editorial meeting today. Everyone had different feelings on it, but basically the idea is that you get this big crusher coming in and crushing everything that has to do with art and creativity in the last few decades and putting it all into an iPad. It just feels like this was too on the nose. Because that's what people are scared about with AI.
Where was the focus group?
That's what I want to
this
know.
one?
I mean, I think the big story here is,
Jeez.
first of all, Apple has come out and apologized for this about 48 hours. Tim Cook still has it on his Twitter, X. But if you go and look at the responses to his tweet, no question, I think it's fair to say Apple missed the mark when it came to this ad. I want to know how it got approved, who signed off on it, because
someone's kid watches on Instagram, watches the hydraulic press videos on Instagram, and probably was like, "These." I
follow the hydraulic press on Instagram.
And you still didn't get it. Okay,
but I don't have the idea of like crushing all history of human creativity and then replacing it with an iPad.
Right. It's one thing to crush gummy bears. It's another thing to crush music.
Exactly.
And, photography.
But it's so
and
not
art.
Apple. This is so not Apple.
Where's the meeting? Like they were done with it, they showed it, and everybody's like high-fiving. Yeah.
Although I guess you could say it's the same company that made us all listen to U2, as Dave Lee pointed out in an editorial earlier this week.
You say this isn't Apple. Isn't this what they've been for a while?
I mean, it just seems like it missed the mark so much that they want to support creativity, right?
Well, I mean,
they do
having all
in their
creatives.
iPad.
Yeah.
They'll smush their computer, but you can do it in your iPad.
The piano too.
I'm sorry.
R.I.P. And the guitar. Guitar is gone.
It's tough.
Metronome is gone.
Oh my!
How many times do you think they did that commercial? How many takes did that require?
Exactly.
How many pianos
How many eyes,
died
right?
in the process?
Signing off. Yeah, let's push the button, let it out. All right. I'm sorry. Okay, that's a wrap. Guys, have a great weekend. Our cross-platform coverage, radio, TV, YouTube, Bloomberg Originals. We call it Beyond the Bell. Have a good and safe weekend, and a happy Mother's Day to all you moms out there.
You too, Carol.
Happy Mother's Day. We'll see you same time, same place on Monday.